Welcome everybody to another Archimedes Agora. This is our June Agora. We hold this every Thursday, first Thursday of the month. So this is a monthly community call for Archimedes. These are the time and place that we can come together as a community. So it's not just a community call, but this is the time and place where we can come together as a community. We can discuss the future of Archimedes, so the roadmap, any recent upgrades, and then we can also have an open line of communication with the community. So answering your questions, doing Q&A, it's a ask me anything type of scenario. If anything is so pressing throughout our conversation today during the Agora, feel free to write it in the chat, or ask to raise your hand and speak, and we can get you up right away if it's so pressing. Otherwise, table that to the end and we'll do a Q&A session. Cool. So without any further ado, I am going to kick us off, and we'll hand the mic over to, make sure they're here, our other speaker, Keiko, OX Keiko here, Kyle, from the team, our product manager. So Kyle, if you could please give us a high level of the product roadmap.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alvin. Yeah, this month there's been a lot of changes this month. New product roadmap update, pretty big. We've established the timeline for pretty much the rest of the year, all the way through Q4. We wanted to give you guys some insight into exactly what's going on. Got some feedback on transparency with what exactly we're working on, and we heard you on that. So there's going to be a product roadmap going live on Notion. There's a few little tweaks that I'm making, like as we speak, but everything is kind of in there, so I can walk through it a little bit. If you wanted to do that now, Alvin, or do that later.
Yeah, no, that works great. If you could.
Cool. So Q2, as that's right, end of Q2 is June. We are currently testing our single pool strategy. We announced that, I think, a few weeks ago now, when we launched our product update meeting, which happens every Friday. So feel free to join that. We are also testing our vArch UI and the voting with that. That'll be going live very soon, very, very soon with that, not end of Q4. But then moving into Q3, we're going to be adding some new strategies after single pools are tested. And Arbitrum. This was announced last week during the product update. Pretty big news.
Kyle, can you hear me?
Everybody.
Kyle?
We know that we have small users.
Hold on, I gotta blare the horn real quick. Kyle, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you cut up a little bit. Could you rewind it about 30 seconds or so? It was right before you mentioned Arbitrum. It was coming in and out.
Sure.
So I want to make sure that we hear all your updates.
Yeah, sure. I think the Wi-Fi is cutting it out a little bit, so just poke me if you can't hear me at all. But yeah, I'll rewind about 30 seconds. So I think I ended around Q2 when I cut out. So I'll start with Q3. Q3, we announced Arbitrum launch last week. That'll be coming sometime in Q3 with newly chosen protocols and strategies with the single pool algorithm that we developed and announced 2 weeks ago. That'll be Q3. We will also be announcing the big strategy, which some more info to come. Can't speak to that too much, but it will involve the single pools. Single pools are a step to that new big strategy in Q3. And then Q4 will conclude the Syracusia Upgrade, which is the main secret sauce that we'll be launching and announcing potentially next week or beginning of Q3 in a product update or the next Agora. And then we will be launching leverage along the way. I kind of chopped that up a little bit. Leverage will be coming on the single pools launch in Q3.
Gotcha. Awesome. So nice little timeline laid out there for you. Thank you, Kyle, for taking us through the year. Pretty much, lots to be excited about at Archimedes. These single guarded pools, or protected pools as we call them, and the leverage coming to them. It's pretty exciting if you ask me. And I think audiences on Ethereum and Arbitrum, especially on Arbitrum, honestly, are gonna really like what we bring to the table. It's gonna be different than a lot of our competitors, and with that much more experience. So excited to see what we do. Yeah, if there's nothing else from you, Kyle, I think you wrapped it up, but please let me know if I'm stopping you short. We'll move on to the marketing and biz dev update from Rafa.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle and Alvin. So with so many different launches coming up, we're definitely ramping up back again our marketing efforts. You may have noticed that we've been a little bit more quiet on social media, but with the new product coming up, we do believe that's going to be super great addition to the product, to the protocol, and we're going to be ramping up our marketing. What does that mean is we've been working behind the scenes also on the marketing strategy. So we have a very holistic and very well thought, led by Alvin. So thank you for doing this, Alvin, and leading the effort there on the marketing effort. So we do have a lot of strong content coming out very soon. Also, we're going to be launching what we call an ambassador program soon. And that word can be a little confusing for some people. Ambassador here means more influencers and KOLs. We have a list of super great, high quality influencers that we're talking to and engaging with them on a longer term partnership to help with the reach and the brand awareness of the protocol. Currently, we're focusing on that brand awareness piece, not so much on growing too much the protocol, because we haven't really been able to prove product market fit yet. We do believe that the V2 will bring in some of that, and with that assumption, we're going to be ramping up the ambassador program, and also some engagement programs that are coming up where users will be able to generate some content, and Alvin will explain a little bit more about this. Generate content, participate in different types of competitions. So infographics, if you're a designer, content writing, if you're a writer, and etc. So initially off-chain, but then we're also going to be moving to on-chain engagement very soon. And obviously more on the biz dev, transitioning more into the biz dev side, we're going to be doing a lot of co-marketing efforts in the coming months. So there are very exciting partnerships coming up very soon. We can't quite yet announce them because we're still in conversations with the partners, but we're very close to closing some very, very good great partnerships out there. So we'll the names once the right time comes. So yeah, that was it for me. Alvin, any questions? Any comments? Please feel free to jump in, request a mic, or comment in the channel if you're a little bit more shy.
Yeah, for sure. We want to hear from you. And, if it's something that you think of later, table that thought, write us on social media, join, write it here in Discord, because you might be, again, listening to this somewhere else. But we do want to hear from you, engage with you. And we're happy to answer those questions. Yeah, thanks for that, Rafa. Going to give this is a little optional thing we had here. So we weren't sure if we'd have them because the dev team has been busy deving, as I like to say. But I know we have a few dev team members here today, so I wanted to give them an opportunity in case they'd like to give us an update on anything specific to the engineering side of Archimedes. If not, feel free to just stay muted and I'll keep us rolling. But I know sometimes those slightly nerdier things, those Greeky, as we like to call them, are what I'm most interested in about projects, what they're doing under the belly.
I'll actually give a little bit of an update on the dev portion side of things. This week we've actually
sorry, just before.
Together.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Kat, just before. Should I answer this question before, right now, or later? Nostrum is asking, can you hit us a list of partners you're considering?
Go ahead, go for it. Yeah, let's get that in now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna hint, but please don't quote me on that one. We're still talking to several different partners, so I'm gonna say a long list, but not necessarily those will be the ones we'll be closing with. But we're talking to well, obviously Convex with the pool hopper. That's something that is confirmed already. But on top of that, we're also talking to exciting projects such as Pendle, Alchemix, Revest, Sperax on Arbitrum, and some other ones to come. This is just a long list and very initial. Things may change, but we'll keep you all updated on that, on more specifics later on. Sorry, Kyle, I know I interrupted you with the question. So.
No worries at all. I was going to give a little bit of an update on what the devs have been doing. We actually have been working together in person this week. We kind of decided to all meet in person. Things move a lot quicker. There's some big moves being made with the devs. A lot of testing going on and a lot of deployment to our staging site. So.
All right, something's brewing. Something's imminent. A lot coming at Archimedes, and again, yeah, our team is really building. If you don't hear about something for too long, I would check back in, because chances are something has launched or come down the pipeline at Archimedes. So stay tuned for all of that information. Speaking of things launching, I'm going to move into our nerdy topic of the day, such announcement, and for today we have something a little bit more community focused, and that is that our new engagement program is launching. So this is called The Greeks. We figured we'd go with The Greeks since this is a title that we frequently call our community and refer to ourselves as The Greeks. Archimedes, parentheses around the R. There you go, a little shoulder nudge for you guys there in virtual space. But yeah, this campaign is called The Greeks. The goal of this campaign is to, of course, increase Archimedes brand awareness, really bring the community together, and then foster an environment where the community is encouraged and incentivized to make high quality content about the protocol, and also to provide feedback about the protocol and engage with the protocol. So it's all of these different things. Again, the big takeaway, or what it leads to, is more brand awareness for Archimedes, better education for DeFi audiences about Archimedes, and educating our community as a whole, I should say. So the Greeks, it's kicking off. We recently launched the Medium article, but this Agora is somewhat of an alpha spot for it, since we have not really gone public with that information yet. We will be doing so this afternoon. We will also be launching the Zelly, which is mentioned in the Medium post this afternoon. That's where users will be able to earn experience points, or XP, for completing various tasks. So what are these different tasks? Some of these tasks include things like checking in if you're a certain role, so that's on the very low side of things. So we do want really engagement side task. Again, providing feedback to Archimedes, engaging with certain social media posts, so that could be tweets. And these will be posted, the tweets specifically will be posted throughout the week or throughout the month, as we decide different tweets should be worth XP. We'll be holding frequent monthly contests where users can create videos or infographics, memes, threads, blog posts about Archimedes and be rewarded a higher amount of XP, as well as potentially other rewards outside of the XP leaderboard points system. So in general, each month there's going to be rewards allocated to a leaderboard held on Zelly. So you'll build up XP points, and if you're at the top of the leaderboard, you'll be rewarded tokens. And then there's also another set of prizes for contest winners. So you get X. So if you win a contest, you get XP, and you potentially get another prize on top of that. So go for those contests. And again, that's really to incentivize our users to make more content about Archimedes. And we're going for high quality content. So that's why it's a contest. May the best threaders, video creators, bloggers win. For more detail about that, again, check out our Discord. We'll have more information on that launching in the Greek activity section of Discord. Again, we'll also have a tweet coming out with a link to the blog, the engagement campaign blog, but just all sorts of information about that campaign will be rolling out throughout the day. So stay tuned for that. Cool. And moving on, unless there's any questions about the engagement campaign. If there are, again, please write so in chat, or feel free to unmute. We can get you answered. But otherwise, I'm going to move on to our deep dive topic of the day, which is the Syracusia Upgrade. So the Syracusia, what is that? Specifically, what's up with that name? So Syracusia is a fabled, or said to be like a large, ancient Greek ship constructed by none other than Archimedes. So this ship was supposed to be so large that it could not come into port. So just a massive, ancient transport ship. And so we figured that this would be an appropriate title for our massive upgrade coming to Archimedes. And so the Syracusia has been broken down into different phases, which we will discuss publicly. So we're currently in the midst of phase 0, where we're doing the VE Arch governance 80-20 pool launch. And then we move into phase 1. That'll be those single convex pools that Kyle was mentioning earlier. So that's when we move into phase 1 of the Syracusia. Some of these, so I want to quickly cover some of the different narratives as far as the Syracusia that it'll be tackling. And so some key topics for this are stablecoins. So you'll still be able to use stablecoin strategies with Archimedes, specifically DeFi stablecoins. X whatever stablecoin, you be the judge of that, and that's a big portion of this, is that the community will be able to decide which specific assets we are using now that we will have VE Arch governance. Leverage yields on some of these DeFi projects as well, and DeFi stablecoins, and then this idea of omni pools and LSTs or LSTs, depending on what you like. I feel like there's a current battle happening in crypto right now as far as what people like to say more, but it all the same thing: liquid stake derivatives or liquid stake tokens. So that's when you see our threads. That's the ETH/XETH or USDC/XUSDC we're talking about there. But all these different narratives being covered in Archimedes V2, or aka the Syracusia Upgrade. So if you're looking for a project that's staying in the loop and actually developing with the wave, I think Archimedes is that fit. All right, before we roll out, there's a few things I want to hand over to Kyle in just a moment, but I feel like there'll be some frequently asked questions about VE Arch coming up. So actually I'm going to pass this out for these questions. So the questions are specific to VE Arch coming out soon, as you mentioned. And I just want to know, what can our audience expect from VE Arch at launch? What's that experience going to be?
Absolutely. It's an important question. So VE Arch, it's commonly known as voting escrow Arch. We've explained it a few times. It's a pretty common protocol for most governance tokens, but that will be our native governance token. And what you can do with it at launch, essentially, you will need to go to Balancer to lock 80% Arch and 20% wrapped ETH. Then you'll get your respective LP token. You can come back to Archimedes and then lock and receive VE Arch proportionate to how long you locked your LP for. And that will be incentivized with more Arch tokens, depending on how long you locked for. So at launch, you will only be eligible to receive Arch tokens as rewards. But as we go forward, we will use VE Arch for voting on different rewards and utility that the community will look for. So if you guys want to receive, for example, stable coins or something like that, you'll have to go through the entire governance process, ideation, proposal, snapshot, to vote on that as a new reward. That will be heavily dependent on you guys. You guys will tell us what you want for rewards in order to lock your LP. So locking and voting, that is what we are launching with.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. So launching, voting, and rewards, and a plethora of options coming down the line, and totally up to the community to decide on what those are. Awesome. Speaking of voting, I know we just had our first ideation pass through polling. Could you touch on that, Kyle?
Absolutely. Yep. We have Ape 1. It is to hold off on our emissions to the curve pool. The original was to increase emissions at week 14. But the first ideation was actually proposed by me specifically to slow down the emissions, as there is everybody knows and has been talking about how there's no utility currently for Arch, which is obviously changing with vArch. So we proposed to decrease, or sorry, not decrease, but keep the emissions at the current level, pending the vArch launch. And whatever the community decides in the future. So this has passed ideation and passed our governance polling. So it passed with 70% voted yes votes, and it will be moving to Snapshot. It is not currently live on Snapshot because obviously vArch, you cannot vote with vArch yet, but it will be live as soon as vArch is live.
Awesome. And specific to vArch, one last question about that, and then I want to take us through the process of participating in governance. Specific to vArch, I should say, will this be audited? Will the smart contracts or front end be audited before launch, or what do you expect as far as that for audiences?
vArch will be battle tested and audited.
Awesome. So yeah, security first. Thank you for that wrap up of vArch taking us through things, Kyle.
Awesome. One couple of small comments here, and one small question for you also, Kyle. One small comment is that I pasted the 80/20 pool link on the chat, so you can go there and take a look at the pool, provide liquidity, and that's how you will be able to lock later. And Alvin will explain that later, but the link is there already. And Kyle, one quick question for you is, you said that currently we're gonna go with locking and voting initially for vArch. What are all the types of utilities that we're planning in the future? Can you give us a few examples of what that could look like in the future?
A few examples. Yep, I can give a few examples. The easiest example to give is protocol shared revenue. So in the future, with when our new product is deployed, we are exploring exactly what that shared revenue can look like, and there will be some governance proposals coming down the line for that. Some other utility might be gaining access to portions of the protocol that would not be accessible without locking your LP. Those are some quick examples. Examples of rewards would be if you want to be paid out in a portion of, let's say, Ethereum or Bitcoin or native chain assets. You could propose that in the governance forum ideation channel, and then it can move forward through there if the community wants to prove that and they like the idea.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for those examples, Kyle. Yeah, vArch, versatile asset. All right, so moving into the last portion of today before we do open things up for a Q&A. And this is just a run through of the governance process and how the community can participate in governance. So we just spent the last portion of this Agora speaking about vArch and governance. And so now we're going to jump into how specifically pretty much all users, all members of the community can participate in governance at the Archimedes DAO. So to start off, you'll need to be a Discord member. So that's step one. You'll want to join the Archimedes Discord server. You can find links on our Twitter profile or on our website, as well as the Archimedes documentation if you have a link to the user docs that you're starting with. From there, yeah, join our Discord, and you'll want to pretty much join the community. So read around the server, communicate with folks, and earn the citizen role. So yeah, that's the first step. The governance process, while it is visible to all users from the very beginning, so once you verify with our bot upon joining our Discord server, you'll be able to view our governance channels. You'll be able to view any ideations. You'll be able to view the polling, etc. However, you will not be able to interact with certain portions of governance until you at least earn the citizen role. So we did this form of gating just to ensure that we don't have any bots coming in or people making fake accounts or whatever and just flooding up the channels. So it's just a little bit of protection in that case. But again, easier, or the step one is to get that citizen role. So after you have the citizen role, you can communicate in our governance chat channels. You can also make ideations, so you can propose your own ideations. There are tags and guidelines in the Discord forums, the governance forums, for users to follow, so that they can make appropriate ideations and get passed on to polling the first time through. But if for whatever reason it does not, we will provide the information to whatever user made that initial ideation, what they might need to correct so that it follows guidelines, and then see it through after that. Whatever happens with an ideation in its initial form, it needs to have a vast majority of a community sentiment be positive for it to pass on to polling. And also the ideation needs to, again, align with the protocol. So this is all mentioned in the guidelines. After it does that, and that's a 7-day period where the initial ideation can receive feedback from the community, from moderators and everything like that, and get that sentiment. But after that 7-day period, should it receive that positive sentiment and it aligns with the protocol, it will move on to the polling process. And again, all you need to do is be a citizen at this point to take part in all of this. Our admins in Discord will give that user the contributor role so they can post the poll themselves. And from there, we'll have another 7-day period of voting in Discord via the polls. And then, so this is where Kyle just mentioned that poll needs a 70% in favor for it to pass. And if the poll does pass, then it will become an official proposal to be voted on Snapshot. So that's snapshot.org, which is a very common tool for different projects to do on-chain voting with. So again, for our voting process, once it makes it to Snapshot, that voting will be done with VE Arch. So you're going to want to be a VE Arch holder to have power in our voting system. So at this point, I'll take you through a very high level of how to get that VE Arch. So to get VE Arch, you're going to want to have Arch to start. Alternatively, you could also have wETH or wrapped Ether. But you're going to want one of these two assets, and you're going to want to deposit that into the 80/20 pool. So deposit and stake that into the 80/20 pool on Balancer, which has an 80% weight in Arch token. So high level, the good thing about these type of pools is if you like that asset, you're invested in that asset, that governance asset, you maintain a strong exposure to that asset, and only 20% to Ethereum. But at the same time, you're able to deepen the liquidity of that asset. And so that's something that Archimedes has versus some of these other protocols, like even consider a GMX, right? Where for their escrow, their voter escrow token, their ES-GMX, you have to lock GMX token, and then you can get their rewards. But the single asset locking doesn't really help deepen liquidity. But the way the Archimedes is doing this with the Arch token, with the 80/20 pool, it helps deepen liquidity. And then, you get these other added bonus benefits out of that. So let me roll things back for just a second. You deposit your assets to 80/20 LP pair. Then you have the liquidity pair tokens on Balancer, and you still need to take those tokens and stake them or lock them, with Archimedes for a set amount of time. The max amount of time that you can lock those tokens is 1 year, and the minimum is 1 month. And so that'll determine how much VE Arch you get, depending on how long you lock those tokens. Of course, locking for a longer period of time means you get more VE Arch, more weight in your voting power for Archimedes. And again, while you have those tokens locked, you're privy to a bunch of other benefits in the Archimedes ecosystem. As Kyle just listed off a few examples, we talked about Arch emissions earlier, and so on. So the rest to be decided by the community. But I feel like that's a pretty good high-level wrap-up of how to participate in governance. Obviously, part of that, you don't need to be a token holder at all. The second half of things is for those token holders, people that are a little bit more invested in Archimedes. But that's the process. Anything that I missed there, Kyle or Rafa, you feel like could add a little flavor to things?
No, I think it's great. Just one. Yeah, I was saying the same thing. Just want to reiterate that anybody can start your ideation, as long as, and correct if I'm wrong, Oven, I believe if you're a citizen, in our Discord. You can already start submitting ideations and voting on the ideation. So what does that mean is if you're engaged in our community, you will very quickly earn the citizen role, and then you can start engaging on that. And then for snapshot voting, once again, just making sure everybody understands, you need to have at least one V Arch to be able to vote. So yeah, that's pretty much I want to call out those two small aspects of it, on how to participate on it.
And if I can add something, so hey everyone, this is Oz, the CEO of Archimedes. First, thank you everyone for joining us. It's amazing to have a community, and we really love to hear you. And especially when we shape VR, when we shape everything that we do, when we shape the governance and everything, like the more ideas that you would raise, more votes and discussion around it, the better the protocol and the community would grow. So we really need your help and support.
Great point, Oz. Yeah, this is really a community effort. We're trying to make the effort to continue to build in public. So that's just keeping things transparent as possible between the team and the rest of the community. And yeah, we're asking the same from the community. As you have those ideas, those thoughts, this will make the idea. This might make the protocol better. I want to see this implemented. Write those as ideations. Join the governance channel chats. Just talking Discord in general. But we'd love to hear from you. So you are going to make the difference and help us build this awesome protocol here in DeFi on Ethereum now, soon Arbitrum, and who knows what's next. So. All right, I want to open things up to